What's up, everybody? Another episode. So much to talk about. So many things going on in the space. This episode of The Hobby with Cage brought to you by Bleecker Trading, brought to you by My Slabs, brought to you by Arena Club. Let's just jump right into it, right? Because I don't want to take too much of your time. I like to keep these things quick, but something on my mind today, and I'm curious what you guys think. I'm curious if you agree, disagree, like where it's going, hate where it's going, kind of don't care where it's going. And I'm sure there's people who fall into all those things, but you can DM me on Instagram, or you can just put a comment in, on the YouTube video and let me know what you think about it. But I've been thinking a lot about this. Not only wax, and we'll get to the wax in a second, but Topps Now, Panini Instant. They've been around for a little while. They definitely have. But I've noticed, especially with Topps Now, sort of a shift in how they're using it. Sort of a shift in what they're doing with it. And for the folks who are watching this and listening to this, who may not be as familiar with, what Topps Now is, we'll focus on that for this episode. It's a really cool idea. It's a money-making thing for Topps and always has been. And more importantly, it's a cool way for anybody who wants to get a card to commemorate something, they can get it. The premise being that, Topps, when a significant event happens, will make a card, almost basically a print-to-order card. That way you have, whatever the demand for the card is, they meet that demand. The premise of it is that it's available for a limited time, 24 hours, 48 hours. Some of them have longer windows, depending upon the set that they're doing. But when something, happens, they make a card for it. These cards have been expanded significantly. And, there was one of Bernie Sanders. Remember that one? Sitting in his chair. There was a Dr. Fauci one throwing out the first pitch, which sold, so many of them. They've used these, Topps Now to make the first, Wemby cards of Topps. The first Wemby autographs were on Topps. When there's momentous events, World Cup has them. A lot of people have their first, rookie cards in them. People who come up to the league, soccer players who do something in the World Cup. Boom, there you go. You get an instant card printed, and you can get as many of them as you want. You buy them in bulk. As long as you buy it during the window that they're open, you're able to order it and buy it, and they're not that expensive. And it's a cool idea, cool concept. And someone wins an MVP, they make them. Let's just focus now on what happened yesterday. Let's talk about the game Ohtani had. Wow. I mean, just an amazing, amazing game. 6 hits, 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 10 RBIs. And in the game, he became the first player ever in the majors to go 50-50, 50 home runs, 50 steals. Just an incredible thing. I mean, you add on that the guy can pitch too. While he's not doing that this year, he's also an elite pitcher. What he's doing, we've said this a couple times, has never been seen before. I'm sure that the ball that got hit for his 50th home run that put him in the 50-50 club is going to sell for a ton of money. There was a scramble for it out in the outfield, and it's fun footage. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and take a look at it. One guy had basically 2 shots at it on the original fly and then on a rebound, and he missed both times. And it's fun stuff. But I bring that up, one, because he's amazing, and 2, he's had a ton of Topps Now cards. But there is obviously, that's a momentous event, the first time ever 50-50. But here's the change that has come in Topps Now. And I mean, it didn't start with this, but the most obvious example of it is the recent triple auto release. The folks who are making Topps Now, they've changed it from, you can buy a Topps Now base card. They also used to offer a 1 of 1, out of 5, and out of 10 autographed versions. And those were increased prices, $1,000 for the 1 of 1, you name it. So it was kind of like a race to be the first one on the site. If you wanted to pay $1,000, you could get the auto, you could get the 1 of 1, you could get this maybe it was better that way. Maybe it wasn't. Because now, and this is kind of what I want to talk to you about. Now what they're doing is they're making it almost a chase on everything. So if you go on now on the Topps Now website, you will see that there are parallels to the Ohtani 50/50 card. You can get the base card, you can get it. I think it's $10 or so, and they'll print a bunch of them, just like they did with the Olympics Curry, LeBron, Durant card. But they're obviously selling more of them now, and here's why. Used to be, all right, you get as many of them as you want, and they'd also make a premium on the autograph one, $1,000 for the auto or $1,500 for the auto, whatever they would charge. Now it's random. I mean, someone will have to do an audit of this at some point in time, but KPMG will have to come in and make sure that it's really random. But now the way they do it, and you guys have seen it with the triple auto, is everybody has a chance. It's now a chase, that autograph. And there'll be one for Ohtani also. There'll be a gold 1/1 with an inscription, 50/50 club, first to do it, or whatever they're going to have the inscription on it, and it'll be a 1/1 auto. But it's no longer you go on to the Topps Now site, and if you're the first one who's willing to pay thousands of dollars for that 1/1 Ohtani auto, you get it and it's yours. Now it's you have to enter the lottery. You have to buy a scratch-off ticket like everybody else and hope that your scratch-off ticket is the lucky one that gets that 1/1. And, there are other parallels you could get also. There are numbered versions of the card that, don't have autographs on it. There are other, cool things that are thrown in. But the result is that, well, it's twofold. Number one, Topps is selling a lot more of these. The print run on the Curry, Durant, LeBron was 588,000 copies. 588,000 copies. Average it out to $10 a copy, and even if you say people bought them in bulk and it's a little less than 10, I mean it's $5 million because people are chasing that one triple auto card. That's pretty amazing. But really, what's happening is people are going to their local convenience store and buying a scratch-off ticket, hoping that their one scratch-off that costs $10, win for life, is going to have that auto in it. It's going to have that triple auto. That's that $1 million jackpot. And it's becoming more prevalent. It is becoming more of what people are doing now. And I can tell you that I think if you were to poll the people who are buying that triple card, the base card at $10 a pop, and asked if you got the card, especially with the bounties that are out there. I haven't heard one yet for the Ohtani one, but I'm sure there will be one announced, right? I'm sure it'll be $100,000 or whatever it is for the 1/1 50/50 Topps Now Ohtani. But the last I checked, the bounty for the triple auto was $500,000, no questions asked. And I'm sure it's probably more. I know Ken Golden was looking for it. I know, Jeff Wilson was looking for it. Grandstand was making, offers for it. I mean, I didn't hear Dave and Adams do one of their typical bounties, but it's because it's not in wax. It doesn't help Dave and Adams at all, the triple auto hunt, because it's not moving wax. It's not increasing wax prices, and it's not, keep that in mind also, guys. So I think if you were to poll the people who were buying the 588,000 copies of it, 99.9% of them would say that if they were the ones who got that 1/1 auto, they would be selling it. Sure, there may be some crazy person who would rather have that card than the $500,000 to $1 million that it would likely sell for in the original thing. Maybe. Probably the person who's willing to pay that if they were, when they took a chance out of it, they get it. But, maybe 1% of people. Maybe I'll be a little more fair. But if that's really the case, and 99% of the people who are buying into this raffle, this scratch-off, this lottery system, 99% of the people who are buying the Wonka candy bar are not really buying it for the chocolate. They're buying it for the golden ticket. They're buying it for the money. What does that say about the cards? And if really what we're doing here is we're kind of going left in the space, and we're making it less about the cards and more about the gamble, more about I know we're not supposed to say that word because, then you start to talk about regulation coming in, and, there are, rules for gambling, age limits for gambling. You don't have that with cards. But if we're starting to go left, is that really where we're headed? And if we are, and the space is just moving towards it doesn't really matter what the card looks like. It doesn't really matter what the card is. It's just, we know that there's a bounty for it. We know that if you are the one who's lucky enough to spend $10 and hit this one of one special card, it will sell for $100,000. You can sell it for $500,000. That's what I kind of been talking about for a while. It's the same thing as going to a casino, or, you can do it on your phone, the same exact thing. You put your $10 in and you pull the slot machine lever. Yeah, guys, slot machines used to have a thing on the side where you pull the one-arm bandit, they called them, right? You used to have to pull the slot machine down and boom. But how is it different? If 99% of people are buying the item not for the item, they're buying it for the gamble. They're buying it for the chance to turn their $10 into this $1 million bounty. What does that say about the commodity? You don't really need the card. Why even make the card? Why not just have a raffle drawing where everybody goes on Tops Now and clicks, I'm willing to put $10 in, and they run a raffle, spin the roulette wheel, they do a 50-50 and, pick the ticket out. That's the one who gets the money. How is it really any different if the card itself becomes, almost irrelevant? Now, the flip side to this is, if the card goes to auction and sells for $1 million, I mean, somebody really wanted it for $1 million. So there is somebody out there that places a value on that card. There is somebody out there who wants to have that card for a certain price. And that does undercut a little bit of, the argument that there has to be some value to the card. A lot of these bounties, I think, are inflated. There are a lot for PR. There are a lot for, for press. There are a lot to move, the items. And I don't think most of the cards are worth what the bounties are. I mean, anybody who thinks that Drew Jones, Superfractor Auto was really worth $250,000, I mean, I got some cards to sell you. The question really is less about that and more about kind of, the future of the space, right? I mean, Topps, Fanatics, I like a lot of what they're doing. I just spent the whole episode talking about how Hobby Rip Night was awesome, great press that came out of that, you name it. But it does get me, thinking about cards. Now, I think there's probably a segment of people who listen to this, probably more than a few of you, because, my audience is a lot of collectors, a lot of people who've been doing this for a long time, who say, I don't care about this. I'm not buying in. I'm not spending the $10. I'm not buying, the Tops Now. This is not what I do. And if the hobby wants to come and go and change and become, gambling and people want to do this, that's fine. I'm doing my own thing. I'm finding the cards I like. I'm buying the cards I like. Hell, some people even say that they don't mind the way that the hobby is going with breaking and you name it, because, the people who do buy into boxes, that's the other part of this, right? The box breaking, the I'm going to call it the gambling aspect of it. I mean, just log on to Backyard. It looks like they have some GameStop collaboration. You never know if those guys are telling, the truth. If GameStop even knew that there was a collaboration with them, but it seems like they're doing a collaboration with GameStop where they put 300 mystery packs in there, and there's a golden ticket in one of them. Literally, I mean, the guy was dressed like Willy Wonka in his video, right? I don't mind the Backyard guys. I think they're very creative, and I think it's fun, some of the stuff they do. But think about this, right? That's the space now. And there are collectors out there who say, who cares? People are going to open boxes and they're going to sell back to keep gambling, to keep feeding the machine. And I'm able to now go on eBay or go on MySlabs or go on the auction houses, and I'm able to pick up a card that is, I'm able to buy my guy, the one I collect, the team I collect, cheaper. And I'm able to buy these cards that I do want because people are out there, opening and ripping and you name it. And is there anything, I mean, I'd love to hear from people who think this is all fine. Because it may be, right? Maybe it's a growing, ecosystem of the space, right? We have these print to order cards. We have these cards that come out and it's just like, you want it, you can have it. You want it, we'll print it. You want as many, we'll print them, you name it. And we're going to throw in a little gamble. If you buy a few of these, your odds are up and maybe you get the card that you want. And I guess, from a Topps perspective, if someone's on there buying that card, they probably want the card. They want the Ohtani 50-50. They watch the Olympics and they want that Olympic card. So those are the fans we want to reward with this shot of getting the 1-of-1 auto or a parallel or, a numbered card or you name it. Then you have, repacks. These cards go into repacks. I think an argument can be made the other way. And again, I'm trying to cover this from all sides, right? That this is all just part of a growing space, a space where money has come in, people have come in, companies have come in, and everybody's just trying to figure out what the demand is out there, what people want. And that's why you get sort of like, wax pricing, up, down, almost dynamic, what someone is willing to pay, how many boxes should we print? Do we have a breaker specific, Breaker's Delight? Do we have, and then when those things are opened, the collectors get to have some, the repackers get in, and maybe somebody who wasn't willing to spend $500 for a box of Sapphire, they weren't able to spend $8,000 for a box of this, Mercury stuff that's coming out, this Wembenyama stuff. Maybe some of those cards find their way into a repack, maybe a slab pack at Arena Club, or maybe one of the ones that Backyards are doing, or maybe any other, repack. And maybe for $100 chance, instead of having to buy an $8,000 Mercury, for $100 chance, you can have a shot of getting one of those cards that you would have only been able to get in an $8,000 box. And maybe that's a good thing. I honestly don't know the answer. But the space is evolving. It's so different than it was. I mean, forget about when I started collecting. It's even different than it was 5 years ago, 2 years ago. A lot of the stuff that happens now may not stay. And I'm sure if we come back in 2 years, there's going to be even more different ways of repackaging it, reselling it, reslabbing it to try to meet the demand that's out there. So I leave it for you because I don't want to make these things too long. One, what do you think of the way the hobby's going? Do you think we've trended too much towards, just basically creating scratch-off tickets, casinos, lottery, and the cards themselves don't matter? Do you think we are fine the way we're going? Do you think that all of these ways of doing things just create other cards, other opportunities, and there is sort of different levels to this? And the more different ways of making cards and delivering cards to people, the easier it is for the different folks who collect differently to get what they want. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I know the space is fun. I know I log on to, Hobby Social and see something crazy every day. And I'll just come here and tell you about what, what I see and what's top of mind here. So before I leave, if you listen to this on Friday, My Slabs auction tonight. My Slabs weekly auctions every Friday. Go to Arena Club, check out their slab packs. I mean, I talked about maybe they'll have a Mercury in them soon. Not yet, because those don't release till October 9th, I don't think. But, somebody hit a Luka Gold Kaboom out of a slab pack last week. That's pretty nuts. And obviously Bleecker. They got an event coming up next week with King Saladin. So go check out their site. That's 3 sponsors of the show presently. Who knows? Maybe more coming. Enjoy your weekend, guys. I'll talk to you soon.